And onwards with stories of attacks and killing. Part 13. Per usually means thoroughly or through. Rapitesed. So something's burst through, it looks like. The additus is the approach, civitatis of the state or the city where they're at. And so it looks like we have a knee there, so something has not happened. So anyway, mixtus with the agminibus, with the columns of those people lapsoring away or slipping away. So they broke through the approach of the city and mixed in with the columns of people fleeing away. Nisi, unless or except a dux, a leader, in name nomine victor, with his manibus erectus, with his hands up in the air erect, had prohibited them. Okay, so they would have burst in, but they were prohibited by a general. He prohibited them with his erect hands and with his vocibus, with his voice. Ipsi, which means himself. He had been praestrictus, he'd been hit, it looks like. Humorum, shoulders, sometimes there's a H, it's neuter. His shoulder also with a sagitta, which is an arrow. A bit of extra information there. And he was timens, he was fearing, with a verb of fearing, the utnea inverted again. He was fearing that inside the ambitus, this is a course or a circle, moenium of the walls, milites, the soldiers, rapidus, inconsulte, means they haven't thought it through. So he was thinking the soldiers might rapidly, without thinking about it, go inside the walls, or the courses of the walls. Repertus and inveniens, they basically mean the same thing, but inveniens is present and repertus is past passive. That they might find nullos exitus. There'd be no exit out once they got inside, and by the pondere, by the weight of the multitude, they might be circumvenator, which means they've all rushed in and been surrounded by a weight of hostiles. 14. Sonant. What's sonanting? It looks like veteres poeta. So these are the poets of ancient times, I'm guessing. Let them sound out the pugnas and hectores, it's an adjective form. Hector's battles, let the ancient poets sound out Hector's battles. The fortitudinem is probably the bravery. Let them extollant, so in English we have extol, let them extol the bravery of the Thessalian ducus, the Thessalian general who was Achilles apparently. Loquantor, they'll speak, or what will speak? The long ages will speak of a bunch of Greeks, it looks like. Whoever they are, you can Google them. Okay, these people are the full minor. These are basically lightning strikes, or the standouts of the Medic Bellorum, of the Medic War. So these are Greek heroes, Sophanum and Ammianus and Callimachum and this other fella. Okay, and not less Illodie on this day, quorundum of those ex nostris from ours. So he's changing back to what was going on the 13th. So this was all about the battle. Then he's changed to some ancient poets talking about Hector and Achilles and some others. But so this not less was what was happening on this day by our soldiers. Monstranta were pointed out that they were in clarissa, they were very bright shinings by the confession omnium of all. So their virtues and their valour was shining bright on Illodie on that day. 15. Post timor depositum, after the fear had been deposited or placed down, qui for end, and calcatus, this usually means your heels have trampled on something, the ruinous of the hostilium corporum, so the heels have trodden on the ruins of the bodies of the dead enemy. Miles, this would be our soldiers, in justo sanguine, in just blood, or the justo bit means that they're on the right side. Etiam turm, even then our soldiers, the miles were cruentus, they were covered with gore, etc., and justo sanguine. That should be joined there with a hyphen or something. Ad tentoria, to the tent of the imperator, of the emperor. These milites, that's plural for, it's used singular, but it actually means a plural. These soldiers congregatus, as you know, Grex is like a herd, so they've all congregated in English to this tent, and they prohibited ei to him, this emperor, I think it was Julian, wasn't it? Laudes, praise to him, and gratias, and thanks. So they gave him some praise and thanks, and quod is probably because. Ignoratus, unknown, ubique, everywhere. He was a dux or a soldier. So some places he was leading, sometimes in this ubique situation he was just acting as a soldier. And magus, more, tum, ita, than, thus, he gessered, he conducted himself in this matter prosperously or well, whether he was being a leader or just a soldier, he conducted himself well. And now we're changing to the Persian, and with the cases Persarum, with the slaughters of the Persians being plus or minus, more or less, duabus millibus in quinquentis, 2,500. This bit is the 500, as you can tell from the quin. Nostrorum of our men, who caterented, who fell alone, only. This can be a noun or an adjective. It's probably just it's going with the nostrorum. Only 70 Septuaginta of ours fell there. Qui, starting off a sentence. So those who, a palens. So we'll take a palens here as the emperor. He was calling those who, pleros qui, many of them, he was calling them nominatum by name. Those quos also who, with a stable mind or fortitude of mind, you might want to say, had facessid, they had done, aliquid clarum, something famous, which ipsi, the emperor himself, as the arbiter, as the judge or onlooker, had perspexed, had seen, and he donavited. So he donated to them or gave them navalibus crowns, naval crowns, and civic crowns, and castrinensibus crowns. They're from the camp. So there's 3 types of crowns: naval, civic, and infantry or something crowns. 17. Ratus. We'll take this as the emperor was ratusing. The emperor thought, post-take, after these things, abundante, so he was abundantly thinking after these abundant prosperities, things had gone good, that similar things would adventure, would come. Complures hostias, many sacrificial beasts, he parabated, he prepared for Mars the Altori, Mars the Avenger. And from the bulls, most prettiest ones, pulcherimus ones, there were 10, which were productus, having been led ad hoc for this purpose. And not yet had they ad moti been moved to the aris, to the altars, and voluntate sua, of their own volition or will, novem, 9 of them, tristissime, very grimly or sadly, procubere, they lay down. Vero, but the decamus one, the 10th one, who diffractus his vinculus, he broke his chains, he lapsus, he slipped away, and was reductus est with agri, was led back with difficulty. When they were mactatus, when they were killed, ominous signs they monstravited, they showed. Quibus visus, with these omens seen, exclamaveted, he exclaimed, igdignatus, he was indignant about it, acrida, so he exclaimed acridly or bitterly, and Julianus is the nominative. Julianus the emperor exclaimed ignatus acridly, and testatus est, and he testified to Jove, to Jupiter, that nulla sacra, no sacraments, no sacrifices, facturum he'd make in future now to Marti, to Mars. And nec resecravit, and neither did he make more sacrifices, as he was praereptus, snatched away bk.24 morte, by a quick death. Book 24, chapter 7, part 1. Idique, and so accordingly, with the concilio digesto, comes from digero, it's a participle, so it's been dissolved, which is what happens when you digest things in your stomach. The council's been ended, which he'd had with his primatabusses, with his leading men, super over the obsidio, the besieging of Sedefontus. Itum est, something went into. Looks like the council decided to go into the voluntatem, the will, quorundum of those who, facinus audax, they thought the deed was audax and importunum. So bold and importunum, it's probably not going to have a good outcome. Nos gentiendi, they were knowing this, that if they aggredied, if they attacked it, it would turn out bad. Take these quad as a because it also, this civitas, this city or state, this city will take it as situ, was situated in. Situ is fourth to cleanse. It can also mean mould and negligence, but it usually just means the site. This place was sited itself, whereas inexpugnabilis, you couldn't expugnabilis it, you couldn't storm it or attack it, and that's how it was defendabato. It was in a defendable site, which you couldn't really storm. And cum metuenda multitude, and with a multitude who should be feared, protonus, pretty much immediately, credibato, it was believed that the rex, the king, ad fore, would be there. So there's the Daily Dictionary, digestus from digero, probably seen it before. Separated, divided, distributed, dissolved, dissipated. So the council was dissolved and dissipated. They'd finished their council. Can also mean arranged and classified, and there's a chart there. Links for the Lewis and Charles Short Dictionary. 2. Vicit centenium melior. So the better sentiment or opinion or viewpoint, 1, it conquered. And the princeps solutissimus, another superlative. So the emperor who was most cunning, ad probat. So he approved of its utility or its usefulness. And some guy, we can tell it's proper noun, Arinthium, expedita cum manu peditum. So Arinthius, or Arinthium, with a handful of foot soldiers, to populandus, the gerund, to depopulate the regions or to ravish the regions and steal stuff, was sent circumcitus around this area. His little expedition to steal stuff. The area was lates with armentis. Again, happy when it comes to land, usually means fertile, and with animals means they're nice and plump or whatever. So there was lots of armentis, lots of beasts, and happy frugs, which is fruit and stuff. So I guess they stole some animals and some fruit. And with par industria, with equal purpose or enthusiasm, it was to persecute hostes, to sniff out some enemies and kill them, I suppose. Quos who were dispalatos. This means they're straying and straggling about. Nupa recently in the denside tremites. Or they were densely, the enemy are dense, and tremites are pathways. And notissima means they're well known. Latebrae, these are their hiding places in which they texturate themselves, they cover themselves. Okay, and we're pretty much done for the day except for this bit here. Okay, this bit here is apparently a lacuna, so it's omitted.